When you were 8, a single summer was a geological era, 6 weeks that somehow contained entire civilizations, 3 best friends, and a personality change. Now, you blinked and it's October. You have no idea where this year went, and you're fairly sure last year did the exact same thing to you. Everyone shrugs at this. Time speeds up, they say. That's just getting older. Enjoy it while it lasts. But here's the thing. Time didn't speed up. A second is still a second. Your calendar isn't lying. Physics is behaving perfectly. Something in your head changed. And in a small study, researchers sat people down and asked them to guess when 3 minutes had passed. What the older group did is quietly horrifying. Today, why childhood was longer, what your brain is actually recording, the experiment where scientists dropped people off a tower to time their own fear, and how to steal some of it back. Let's go. Let's start with the oldest explanation, because it's from 1877 and it's brutally simple. A French philosopher named Paul Janet pointed out that you don't measure a year with a clock, you measure it against every year you've already got. When you're 2, 1 year is half of everything that has ever happened to you. It's enormous. It's 50% of recorded history. When you're 10, a year is a tenth, big but survivable. At 40, 1 year is 2.5% of you, a rounding error with a birthday cake attached. Janet's maths has an ugly implication. If every year is a fraction of your total, then the years shrink forever, and the shrinking is fastest early. Run the numbers and something uncomfortable falls out. By your early 20s, you may have already burned through half of your subjectively felt life. Half. Before most people have picked a career. Now, breathe. That's a model, not a measurement. Nobody has proven your life halves at 22, and by the end of this video, I'm going to show you why it's beatable. But Janet was only describing the shape of the problem. He wasn't explaining the machine. For that, you need to look at the clock inside your skull. So here's the experiment I promised. Peter Mongon asked people to do something almost aggressively boring. Sit still, close your eyes, and say when you think 3 minutes have passed. No counting, no cheating. The young adults nailed it. Their guesses landed within a few seconds of 3 minutes. The older group, 60 and up, waited longer, meaningfully longer. Their 3 minutes ran closer to 3 minutes 40. Sit with that. Their internal clock was running slow, which means the world's clock from inside their head was running fast. 40 seconds of real life passed while their brain wasn't looking. It's a small study, so hold it loosely, but it points at something real. The pacer in your head is not a fixed part. It drifts. Except a drifting clock still doesn't explain the summers, because the summer thing isn't about seconds, it's about the size of a memory. Here's the actual mechanism, and it reframes everything. Your brain does not record time, it records change. There's no organ in there ticking off seconds for the archive. When you ask, how long was that? Your brain doesn't check a clock, it checks how much stuff is in the file. Thick file. Lots of new detail? That was a long time. Thin file. 3 vague impressions? That was nothing. You blinked, and it's October. So now ask, what makes a fat file? New things. Only new things. Your brain is ruthlessly uninterested in anything it has already seen. Which is exactly why you were 8 and immortal. Everything was first. First bike, first betrayal, first time the sea was cold. Every single day was writing new pages. And it's exactly why your 30s are evaporating. You've seen a Tuesday. You've seen this commute 800 times. Your brain files all 800 as one memory and moves on. That's the whole crime. Adulthood didn't get shorter. It got repetitive, and your brain refuses to pay storage on a duplicate. And there's a fingerprint of this you can find in any older person you know. Ask someone in their 60s to just tell you about their life and count where the stories come from. Memory researchers keep finding the same lopsided shape. It's called the reminiscence bump. The years between roughly 10 and 30 take up an absurd share of everything anyone remembers forever. Not because those years were more important, because that's when everything was still first. First love, first job, first apartment, first funeral. The bump isn't nostalgia, it's just where the file got fat. Which means your favorite songs are probably from when you were 17, and that is not a coincidence, and it is not because music got worse. Sorry. Now, the part where it gets genuinely weird, because if this is right, then in a moment of pure novelty, time should stretch, and in 2007, David Eagleman's team decided to test that by dropping people off a tower. Volunteers were dropped 150 feet backwards into a net, free fall, about 3 seconds of undiluted primal terror. Everyone who has ever done anything like this swears time slowed down. So they strapped a special watch to each wrist. It flashed numbers slightly too fast for a normal brain to read. The logic was perfect. If your perception really slows down, you'd suddenly be able to read them. They fell. They were terrified. They could not read the numbers, not one. Time did not slow down. Their perception was running at exactly normal speed the entire way down. But then the researchers asked them how long the fall took, and every single one of them said their own fall lasted about a third longer than watching someone else's. Read that again, because it's the key to the whole video. The fall wasn't longer. The memory was denser. Terror made them record everything, and afterwards their brain read that fat file and concluded. That took ages. Time doesn't stretch while you live it. It stretches afterwards when you count the pages, which sets up the most beautifully annoying fact about being alive. Claudia Hammond calls it the holiday paradox. Think about your best week off. While you were in it, it flew. Gone in a heartbeat. You barely unpacked. But look back at it now, and it's huge, enormous. That week has more detail in it than the entire month before it. Now flip it. Think about the most tedious week of your life. Living it felt like a punishment. Every hour crawled. And can you remember any of it? No, it's gone. It left no forwarding address. So the paradox is this. The thing that feels fast while it's happening is what makes your life feel long. And the thing that drags is what makes it vanish. Boredom is not slow. Boredom is expensive. Fair pushback time, because there's an honest objection to all of this. Researchers like William Friedman and Steve Jansen have looked closely at this, and they found something inconvenient. Ask people how fast the last hour went or the last week, and older people don't really report it going faster. The speeding up shows up mostly in one place. When you look back over years, the last decade, where did my 30s go? Which honestly fits everything we just said. It was never about the ticking. It's about the tape. Live it and it's normal speed. Rewind it and there's nothing on it. You aren't losing time. You are losing the recording of time, which, when you look back, is the only version you actually have. So let's fix it. And this is the rare video where the fix is real, free, and available this weekend. 1. Novelty is the only currency your memory accepts. Not big novelty, any novelty, a different route home, a restaurant you'd normally skip, a stupid hobby you're bad at. Being bad at something is the point. Competence is invisible to your brain. Fumbling is what gets written down. 2. Break the blur. Your brain merges identical days into one file, so give it edges. Do one thing this week that could not have happened last week. 3. This is why travel works, and it isn't the beach. It's that for 6 days straight you had no idea what you were doing. Every corner was information. You can get that at home, for free, by being slightly lost on purpose. None of this slows the clock. The clock was never the problem. It just makes the tape worth rewinding. Because here's the last thing, and it's the one I'd actually like you to keep. Your childhood summers weren't longer. They were just fuller. You were an amateur at everything, and it cost you nothing, and it made 6 weeks feel like a decade. That's still available. It's just not automatic anymore. Nobody hands you first times after 20. You have to go and take them. You're not running out of time. You're running out of new, and unlike time, you can go get more of that, starting roughly now. So this week, do one thing you'll have to explain to someone. Then, next October, when everyone says they don't know where the year went, you can quietly say, I do, then walk away mysteriously.